call, I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my head. It's like a jungle sometimes, it makes me wonder how I keep from going under. It's like a jungle sometimes, it makes me wonder how I keep from going under.
Atheists on YouTube pride themselves in their empiricism. Empiricists deal with cold, hard facts obtained by our senses of sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell. Their beliefs are based on data obtained by their sense perceptions, processed by their abilities to reason. They do not accept unjustified beliefs. They believe that faith is belief without evidence. They find faith to be unacceptable. Well, that may be what the atheist tells himself, and that is what he believes he projects to the world. However, those of us who have a relationship with Jesus Christ and study the Word of God see right through the facade the atheist puts forth. There is a profound disconnect between the image the atheist projects and the atheist theory of reality. Atheism is caustic to logic and reason in an irreconcilable way. The atheist is living in a hopeless state of cognitive dissonance. The philosophical term for a theory of reality is metaphysics. All worldviews have a foundational theory of metaphysics. In fact, you can't have a worldview without one. The problem for the atheist lies in his empiricism, his insistence on hard evidence. You see, if any atheistic metaphysical ideas are true, then there is no justification that our sense perceptions are reliable. And if there is no justification for our sense perception, then there can be no justification for empiricism or science. I do believe our sense perceptions are reliable, and I know that atheists are good observers of reality and evidence. What I am saying is that atheistic theories of reality do not justify that belief. The most an atheist can say from his metaphysical stance is that he believes his sense of perceptions are telling him about the world around him. But this is an unjustified belief. Unjustified beliefs are in direct opposition to his self-image. This cognitive dissonance must take a heavy toll. The two sciences of metaphysics are cosmology and ontology. Cosmology is concerned with what exists or doesn't exist in the universe. The most popular cosmology of modern atheists is naturalism. Naturalism states matter and energy are all that exists, and that God and the supernatural do not exist. Now, ontology tells us something about the basic nature of reality. For instance, in naturalism, the universe is impersonal. It does not think or act. Everything is what it is unintentionally. All cosmologies fall into either theism or atheism. There really isn't a third option. Atheistic cosmologies fall into two categories. The first one we can call negationism. Now here's the link if you want to learn more about negationism. It is an essential element of Taoism, Zen, Tibetan Buddhism, non-dualism, and other transcendental philosophical traditions. It basically says no God exists and that the universe does not exist either. Everything is an illusion. You can probably understand why it is not a very popular cosmology with modern atheists. The second one is called naturalism. As the name implies, this cosmology says that nature is all that exists. Nature's all there is. If anything that anyone calls a god does exist, it is derived from nature. This position also entails what we call accidentalism or unintentionalism. That is to say, everything is what it is unintentionally. There is no intended reason behind anything being what it is. Now, this is the cosmology of Western atheism. Now, since the predicament of the atheist is in justifying his sense perceptions, we can rule out negationism right off the bat. Because if everything is an illusion, then our sense perceptions are lying to us. There can be no justification for trusting evidence. In fact, there's no justification for even having sense perceptions. Since negationism fails to justify sense perception, let's examine the other option, naturalism. Because in naturalism, the ontological stance is one of unintentionalism, everything is what it is by accident or unintentionally. Atoms, molecules, and particles interact with each other without intent, reason, or justification for them being as they are. Only matter interacting according to the laws of physics and chemistry. This is true from the smallest scale to the largest scale, from a tiny particle all the way to the entire cosmos. This also applies to who and what we are. This is why the atheist denies the human soul. From a naturalist point of view, you can say things are what they are, but no justification can be applied to what or why they are. To do so would deny the basic concept of unintentionalism. So there's no reason or justification to think that our sense perceptions give us information about the world around us. I'm not saying I believe that. I'm saying that the naturalist theory of reality does not allow the justification that our sense perceptions do tell us about reality. The modern atheist is left in a tenuous position. The foundation on which he bases his worldview is itself unfounded. There is no reason for the atheist, given an atheistic theory of reality, to believe his sense perceptions are telling him anything about the world around him. Based on this unjustified belief, the atheist builds his case for empiricism and science. Yet it is obvious that everything built upon unjustified belief is also unjustified. Because the empiricist insists that evidence is gained from the senses, all knowledge is also unjustified. The atheist claims about science are just derivative unjustified beliefs. Given the atheistic theory of reality, there is no way to get out of this without giving something up. The only options the atheists are left with to give up one of the following. 1. His unjustified beliefs and become a nihilist. 2. His atheistic cosmology and find a cosmology that does have the elements necessary to justify perception. Or 3. Logic. The logical and consistent option if a person wants to hold on to an atheistic cosmology is to embrace nihilism. Everything he believes about the world around him is based completely on faith, not reason. The atheist should be able to admit his position is unjustified, and in fact, there is no way for him to know anything about the world. But sadly, in my discussions with atheists on YouTube, I have found that most of them always give up logic. Usually the first thing I hear is they attempt to justify their sense perception by using sense perception. They'll say, well, we all see the same evidence and we can verify it with each other, so it must be accurate. Or they say they can perform scientific tests using the scientific method. There are many variations on this theme, but consistent, numerous sense perceptions do not demonstrate that sense perceptions have anything to do with the real world. It merely tells us that perceptions are consistent. This is the fallacy of begging the question or circular reasoning. The second way atheists usually give up logic: you're in the same boat as I am. You can't justify sense perception from your theory of reality either. The atheist objection is a logical fallacy known as the U2 fallacy. This fallacious means of reasoning. It falls under the category of fallacies of relevance. It just does not matter if I was in the same boat as you. That does not change your position. Regardless of who's in the boat with you, you still remain in the boat. So the modern atheist is left in a conundrum. Embrace nihilism, deny that there's any way of knowing truth in the universe, deny logic and admit that he's opposed to reason, or adopt a non-atheistic theory of the universe. Your choice.